What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Now, I hope none of yous actually sat there and watched the boring Channel 4 debate on climate change earlier. I certainly didn't, and for that I am glad. But something did happen during the debate that is worth talking about, and that was Channel 4's decision to put ice sculptures there in place of Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson, who didn't turn up to this ridiculous debate anyway, and rightly so in my opinion. But anyway, the Tories and Boris Johnson are apparently threatening Channel 4 after their little ice sculpture stunt. Now, the reason that the Tories are in shit fits about this is because they sent Michael Gove to the Channel 4 studios in order to take part and represent the government. Channel 4 then decided to give the veto to Jeremy Corbyn. Of course, Jeremy Corbyn said no, so Michael Gove wasn't allowed to take part. Therefore, the Tories are claiming Channel 4 are biased because they're letting Labour decide who takes part in a TV debate, essentially shutting the Tories' voice out. Which, as you'll all know, is absolutely incredible. The Telegraph has got an article on it saying, General Election 2019. Channel 4 climate debate overshadowed by row as Tories drag in Ofcom. Boris Johnson has threatened a major shake-up of Channel 4 after the Conservatives accused the broadcaster of conspiring with Jeremy Corbyn to shut them out of a TV debate. The Tories have made a formal complaint of bias to Ofcom, alleging Channel 4 breached the broadcasting code by refusing to allow Michael Gove to take part in the debate on climate change. In an extraordinary row, Mr Gove was turned away from the studio after Channel 4 News gave Mr Corbyn a veto over who could debate against him. Instead, Mr Johnson was represented by a melting ice sculpture of a globe in what the Conservatives deemed a provocative partisan stunt. It follows repeated accusations of left-wing bias against the broadcaster, whose head of news called Mr Johnson a known liar and compared him to Vladimir Putin earlier this year. It's probably not the worst comparison you could have. You could be compared to Jeremy Corbyn or Joe Swinson. Conservative sources threatened a day of reckoning for Channel 4 if the party wins the general election. Well, there you go, guys. If you want a reason to vote for the Tories in the general election, there's one. To get rid of Channel 4. They are at the moment vying for the most biased organisation with the BBC and of course Sky News. Well, some of the Sky News presenters anyway, the majority. The article continues, making clear that its public service broadcasting obligations will be reviewed to make sure it is serving the public in the best possible way. Channel 4 has a unique remit as a publicly owned but commercially funded broadcaster established by an Act of Parliament. It is governed by Ofcom rules that require political impartiality at all times and equal coverage of all major parties during elections. Well, I'll tell you what, they've gone back on that now because they've allowed Labour to have a veto over whether the Tories can take part. That's literally not being impartial there, in no way, shape or form, and it's not equal coverage. You're allowing one major party to ban another from a debate. That's disgraceful. A Conservative source said, if we are re-elected, we will have to review Channel 4's public service broadcasting obligations. Broadcasting organisations are rightly held to a higher standard, and particularly Channel 4, which has a special role enshrined in legislation. Any review would of course look at whether its remit should be better focused so it is serving the public in the best possible way. Channel 4 said it had invited the leaders of the 7 largest political parties to take part in its climate change debate and claimed it was justified in turning away Mr Gove because he is not a leader. Well, then you should have turned him away on your own choice, not giving Mr Corbyn a veto on it. That's bang out of order. In a letter to Ofcom on behalf of the Conservative Party, Lee Cain, who worked as the Prime Minister's Director of Communications until the election was called, said the use of the ice sculpture was a significant breach of the broadcasting code through such a provocative partisan stunt, which amounted to making a political opinion in its own right. Yeah, I'd agree with that. He added that this is part of a wider pattern of bias by Channel 4 in recent months. Yes, it is. It follows Dorothy Brine, Channel 4's head of news and current affairs, making highly personal and unpleasant attacks on the Prime Minister at the Edinburgh Television Film Festival in August. The letter was sent before the programme was transmitted in the hope that Ofcom would force Channel 4 to allow former Environment Secretary Mr Gove to take part. James Cleverly, the Tory party chairman, told Ben de Pere, the editor of Channel 4 News, that this is not a presidential election. only for Mr De Pere to reply on Twitter, then stop behaving like Trump with the press and media. Put your leader Boris Johnson alongside the other leaders and stop playing games. Don't refuse and then threaten our licence. It's a slippery slope. No, Channel 4, I'm sorry. You're on a slippery slope, mate. You are state-owned and only allowed to exist thanks to the good graces of Parliament, who are elected by us. So it's you that will be on a slippery slope if you get found out to be biased, which, of course, most people already know you are anyway. Mr De Pere, who once liked to tweet calling Mr Johnson an arsehole, also accused him of sending his wingmen Mr Gove and Stanley Johnson, only to admit later that Channel 4 had invited the Prime Minister's father as a guest. So what you can take from that is Mr De Pere is a complete wanker. Channel 4 also used an ice sculpture to represent the Brexit Party after Nigel Farage declined to take part in the programme. Rightly so, because it's fucking nonsense. The Telegraph has learnt that the ice sculptures, which cost £1,140 for the pair, were ordered on Tuesday morning, raising suspicions that the broadcaster never intended to allow anyone else to represent Mr Johnson. Well, they might not have done. Don't think it really matters. The fact is that they didn't and gave Corbyn the veto. Channel 4 has faced repeated criticism in the past for broadcasting programmes with excessive nudity and graphic sexual content, and in a 2015 review of Ofcom suggested changes to the regulatory framework of the broadcaster to make sure it concentrated on areas of public service broadcasting where it can make the most distinctive contribution. Mr Johnson is expected to appear on BBC's Andrew Marr show this Sunday, but it is not yet confirmed whether he will be interviewed by feared interrogator Andrew Neil. And to be honest, if he runs away from the Andrew Neil interview, I wouldn't blame him, because he will take him to the cleaners, no doubt. This is what Andrew Neil does for a living. He's made his name on this. You need to be bang on point if you're dealing with Andrew Neil. You need to make sure that everything you're saying is bang on point. Otherwise, he will tear you a new arsehole and real quick, like he did with the Corbynated chicken the other day. But if the Tories win, it seems they're going to take Channel 4 to the cleaners and sort out this biased shithole. They need to do the same with the BBC, in my opinion. It can't just be Channel 4, it needs to be the media. They need to go completely impartial, and so does their presenters. Kay Burley would be an example, for instance. Fiona Bruce on the BBC, of course. But on that note, I will end the video there. It was supposed to just be a short one, but the article was longer than I thought. Before I go though, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members who are linked down in the description below for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with a notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches. They don't like the truth. Twice they have been asked to let the electorate decide upon whether they should continue to sit in their seats, while they block 17.4 million people's votes. Parliament is a disgrace, but they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.